The Galactic Council chamber sat at the center of Station Meridian, a massive structure built above a neutral moon. The room stretched 300 meters across, with curved walls that displayed the stars beyond. 40 alien species had sent their representatives to this place. Each one wanted to hear what General Vorthax had to say. Commander Jake Morgan of Earth's Defense Command sat in the human section. He wore his dress uniform with the insignia of his rank on the shoulders. His jaw was tight. He knew something bad was coming. The intelligence reports had warned him, but seeing it in person felt different. General Vorthax stood at the center of the chamber. The Kellyan Empire general was a creature of terrifying power. His body was made of crystalline material that caught the light and scattered it into thousands of colors. He stood 10 feet tall, with 4 arms and a face that had no eyes in the way humans understood eyes. Instead, his entire body could sense movement and heat. He had fought in 300 years of wars. He had never lost a single battle. Vorthax raised one of his upper arms. The chamber fell silent. Every representative, every aide, every observer focused on him. When Vorthax spoke, his voice came through translation devices in each being's native language. It did not matter. His tone made the meaning clear. I have studied the species in this council, Vorthax began. His words were slow and deliberate. I have reviewed their military records. I have watched how they fight. And I have come to one clear conclusion. The general paused. He turned his crystalline head toward the human section. He looked directly at Jake Morgan. The humans are cowards, Vorthax said. His voice carried no anger, just fact. They are weak. They are soft. They should not have a seat at this table with beings of real strength and power. The chamber erupted. Alien voices rose in whispers and conversation. Some beings nodded in agreement. Others looked shocked. Morgan felt his face grow hot. He forced himself to stay still. Vorthax continued. Your species has lived only for a handful of thousands of years. You have barely left your home world. You claim to be warriors, but you are children playing with toys. You hide behind machines and distance. You do not face your enemies with true strength. A representative from the Zethian collective raised a hand to speak, but Vorthax cut him off. But I am not here to simply insult humans, the general said. I am here to make them an offer. I am here to give them a chance to prove me wrong. I challenge Earth to send a warrior to face me in ritual combat. Just one human. Your strongest fighter. Your best warrior. Vorthax's tone became almost playful. Let us see if this human can stand against me for even 1 minute. Let us see if humans have anything besides empty words to offer this council. Jake Morgan stood up. Every eye in the chamber turned toward him. The human commander kept his voice level when he spoke. We accept your challenge, Morgan said. The words hung in the air. Vorthax made a sound that was his way of laughing. It was not a sound of humor. It was the sound of something finding entertainment in something beneath it. Excellent, Vorthax said. This will be the most amusing combat I have witnessed in 200 years. The broadcast of the council session reached Earth within hours. The networks ran the clip over and over. Vorthax's words were repeated on every channel. The general's challenge spread like a virus through human media. News reporters brought in military experts to discuss the situation. Each expert said the same thing. Humanity had no chance. In military bases across the world. Soldiers watched the clip. In schools, students discussed it. In homes, families talked about what it meant. The mockery stung because Vorthax was right about one thing. Humans had never fought a being like him. Humans had never even met a creature of his power. The government of Earth went into emergency session. Political leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to refuse the challenge and claim it was not a fair test. Others wanted to accept and find the strongest human possible. The debate lasted 6 hours. The decision finally came down to one thing: Earth's reputation. If humans refused to fight, every species in the galaxy would see them as cowards who admitted the truth of Vorthax's words. If humans fought and lost, they would at least show they had courage. They would at least show they would not run from a challenge, no matter how impossible it seemed. Jake Morgan received his orders by secure communication. He was told to find the best warrior Earth had to offer. He was told to find someone who could represent humanity with honor, even in defeat. Morgan thought about the soldiers he knew. There were decorated generals with decades of combat experience. There were special forces operators who had trained their entire lives for battle. There were athletes and martial artists and warriors of every kind. The military expected him to recommend one of them, but Morgan found himself thinking about someone else. He thought about Lisa Duncan. Lisa had been a Marine combat instructor for 12 years. She had trained thousands of soldiers. Then she had left the military and started working in civilian security. Morgan had worked with her years ago, before she left. He remembered watching her in training exercises. He remembered watching her survive impossible situations. There was something about Lisa that other soldiers did not have. She did not fight with pure strength. She fought with intelligence. She fought with something that came from her mind, not just her body. She could look at a problem and find a solution that no one else saw. She could keep going when anyone else would have quit. Morgan picked up his communication device and made a call. Lisa answered on the third ring. Her voice was steady, the way it always was. "Lisa, I need you," Morgan said. "Earth needs you. Will you come?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Tell me what it is," Lisa said. Morgan explained about Vorthax. He explained about the challenge. He explained about the ritual combat that would be broadcast to every species in the galaxy. When he finished, Lisa was quiet for a long moment. "I'll take the fight," she said. No hesitation, no fear in her voice. Just a simple acceptance of what needed to be done. "You know what you're accepting?" Morgan asked. "I know," Lisa said. "When do we start?" Lisa Duncan arrived at the military research facility in the Nevada desert 48 hours later. The building was hidden underground, away from public view. Jake Morgan met her at the entrance. He looked at her and saw what he remembered. A woman of medium height, strong but not bulky, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to miss nothing. "Thank you for coming," Morgan said. "I'm here to fight," Lisa replied. "What do you need from me?" Morgan led her to a secure room deep in the facility. Banks of computers lined the walls. Files filled every surface. These were not ordinary military records. These were studies, analyses, and records that had been compiled over months of intelligence gathering about the Kellyan Empire. "We have everything we could find about Vorthax," Morgan said. His history, his battles, physical data about his body, his combat style, his psychology. All of it is here. Lisa looked at the material. Most soldiers would have been overwhelmed. Lisa asked a simple question. "How much time do I have?" "The ritual combat is scheduled for 14 days from now," Morgan said. Lisa nodded. She pulled up a chair and started reading. For the next 14 days, Lisa did not leave the facility. She slept only 3 to 4 hours each night. She spent the rest of her time studying every piece of information about Vorthax. She read battle reports. She watched recordings of his previous fights. She studied his opponents and how each one had lost. She analyzed his movement patterns. She looked at the structure of his crystalline body from every angle. Other soldiers came to help her. Scientists explained the physics of Vorthax's body. Engineers described how his armor worked. Military strategists discussed his tactics. But Lisa asked questions that surprised them all. She did not ask about strength. She did not ask about speed. She did not ask about weapons or tactics that other humans had used against powerful enemies. Instead, she asked strange questions. Why does he always win the same way? She asked one afternoon. A military analyst looked confused. What do you mean? I've watched his last 30 battles, Lisa said. Every single one follows the same pattern. He charges. He overwhelms his opponent with strength and speed. He defeats them quickly. Every battle. Every time. That's because he's unbeatable, the analyst said. His strength is too great. Lisa shook her head. No, it's because every opponent he's faced has tried to match his strength. They've all tried to fight him the way he's strong. And that's why they all lose. She pulled up recordings of 3 different battles. She showed them in sequence. Look at this one. His opponent was a Karath. Incredibly strong. Tried to grapple with him. Lost in 90 seconds. Next, this one. A Zelothian. Used speed and agility. Vorthax predicted every move and countered. Lasted 2 minutes. This one. A VOR warrior. Massive armor. Lots of weapons. Vorthax broke through the armor in 3 minutes. Lisa leaned back. They all had different species, different bodies, different weapons. But they all made the same mistake. They all fought against Vorthax's strengths. None of them fought against his weaknesses. Morgan listened carefully. What are his weaknesses? His body, Lisa said. This crystalline material. It's hard, but it's also brittle. Not everywhere, but in specific places. The joints. The connections. The places where different parts link together. I've studied videos of battles where he's taken damage. The damage patterns are always the same. She showed pictures of Vorthax after different fights. His body had marks and cracks, but they were always in the same locations. Also his psychology, Lisa continued. He's fought the same type of battle for 300 years. He's never lost. That means he's never had to adapt. He's never had to change his style. He knows one way to fight, and that way always works. He's confident, but that confidence comes from fighting opponents who all made the same mistakes. Morgan felt something shift. He saw what Lisa was thinking. She was not planning to beat Vorthax by being stronger or faster. She was planning something else entirely. Over the next few days, Lisa began to prepare differently. She did not ask for strength training. Instead, she asked for training in flexibility and evasion. She practiced moving in ways that were unpredictable. She trained her body to absorb impacts and keep moving. She practiced changes of direction that seemed to go against normal human movement. She studied human physiology, her own body's capabilities. She learned which movements would be hard for a being like Vorthax to predict, because Vorthax's body simply could not move that way. He had 4 arms, but they moved in patterns that came from his species' design. Lisa's 2 arms and her human body could move in different patterns. She also read about his military record. She learned about his victories, but more importantly, she learned about his defeats. Vorthax had lost before, just not in combat. He had lost political struggles. He had lost negotiations. He had been outmaneuvered and outsmarted by other beings. He could be beaten, just not on a battlefield where pure strength decided the outcome. On the 10th day, Lisa asked for combat practice with trained soldiers. Morgan brought in the best fighters the military had. Lisa sparred with each one, but she fought differently than they expected. She did not try to beat them with strength. She moved in ways that made them miss their strikes. She wore them down. She adapted to every technique they tried. She never stopped moving forward, even when they landed solid hits. After 3 hours of this, every soldier was exhausted. Lisa was breathing hard, but she was still moving, still fighting, still advancing. Morgan watched and understood. Lisa was not training to win a strength contest. She was training to outlast her opponent. She was training to think faster than Vorthax could predict. She was training to fight like a human, not like an alien warrior. On the 13th day, the day before the ritual combat, Lisa sat down with Morgan in a quiet room. She looked tired, but her eyes were sharp and clear. "I'm ready," she said. "Are you sure?" Morgan asked. He needed to know if she understood what she was walking into. "I know what he is," Lisa said. "I know what I'm not. But I know something he's never faced. I know how to fight like a human. And I know that humans don't quit." "That's enough." Morgan nodded. He did not know if Lisa could win, but he knew she would not stop trying until it was over. That would have to be enough for humanity. The next morning, Lisa prepared to leave for the station. She packed a single bag. She put on the military gear that had been prepared for her. Nothing special. No advanced technology. No hidden weapons. Just simple equipment that an Earth soldier would wear. As she walked to the transport, she looked up at the sky. Somewhere above, beyond the clouds and beyond the atmosphere, Vortex was waiting. The most powerful warrior in the known galaxy was waiting for a human woman. Lisa got on the transport. She did not smile. She did not show doubt. She simply sat down and waited for the flight to begin. She was ready to show the galaxy what humans could do. The arena on Station Meridian was built specifically for the ritual combat. It was a circular space, 300 meters across, with transparent walls that would broadcast every moment to the entire galactic community. Over 4 billion beings across 1,000 different worlds would watch this fight. The transmission networks had been preparing for days. Lisa stood in the waiting chamber beneath the arena. The room was simple and cold. She wore her military gear, reinforced shirt, tactical pants, boots designed for combat. No weapons. The rules of ritual combat did not allow weapons. This was a test of the warrior, not of technology. An official came to the door. She was a Tevian, a being made of crystalline structures similar to Vorthax but smaller and less aggressive in appearance. "The general is ready," the Tevian said. "You may enter the arena now." Lisa nodded. She did not speak. She had said everything she needed to say. Now was the time for action. She walked through the entrance tunnel. The light grew brighter as she moved forward. Then she stepped into the arena, and the light nearly blinded her. The entire arena was illuminated by massive lights above. The transparent walls showed the vast space of the station beyond, and more importantly, they showed the billions of eyes watching from across the galaxy. The crowd noise was immense. Every species present made sounds of anticipation. Some roared. Some clicked. Some hummed. The noise was a physical thing that pressed against her from all sides. Lisa walked to the center of the arena and stopped. General Vorthax stood on the opposite side of the arena. He was exactly as large as the videos had shown. His crystalline body caught the light and scattered it everywhere. He had 4 arms, each one ending in sharp claws. His body was massive, powerful, clearly designed for violence and domination. He stood completely still, watching Lisa with senses she could not even identify. Then Vorthax began to move toward her. He did not run. He did not rush. He walked. His walk was slow and deliberate, the way a predator moves when it is absolutely certain of its prey. Each step was controlled. Each movement was precise. He had 300 years of experience. He knew exactly what he was doing. Lisa watched him come. She did not move. She simply stood still, watching, waiting, seeing everything. Her breathing was steady. Her muscles were ready. Her mind was clear. When Vorthax was 20 meters away, he stopped. He raised both his upper arms. His lower arms dropped to his sides. This was the ritual position for combat to begin. Lisa raised her hands as well. This was the signal that she accepted the fight. Then Vorthax moved. His speed was incredible. Lisa had known it would be fast, but knowing it and experiencing it were different things. One moment Vorthax was 20 meters away. The next moment he was 10 meters away, his right upper arm already swinging toward her head. Lisa moved. She did not try to block the strike. She did not try to catch it. She simply stepped to the side, a movement that took her completely out of the line of his attack. His massive claw passed through the space, where her head had been a half-second before. Vorthax's momentum carried him forward. He was a massive creature, and that momentum was hard to stop. He had to adjust, had to plant his weight differently. It gave Lisa time. She saw his next attack coming. He was turning his body, bringing one of his lower arms up in a sweeping motion. Lisa saw it developing. She moved again, this time backward and to the side, her body moving in a pattern that was unpredictable, that did not follow the standard patterns he expected. Vorthax hissed. It was a sound of frustration. He attacked again, and again Lisa evaded. The crowd's noise changed. The initial roar of anticipation became something different. Some beings sounded confused. Others sounded interested. A few sounded excited. Lisa was not falling. Lisa was not being crushed. Lisa was moving. Vorthax pressed his attacks. He was still being careful, still not using his full power, still convinced that he was simply playing with prey. But Lisa was not prey anymore. She was something else. She was a moving target that was not where he expected it to be. He threw a combination strike. Left upper arm, right upper arm, then a sweep from his lower left arm. It was a pattern he had used 1,000 times. It was devastatingly effective. It had defeated powerful warriors. Lisa saw the pattern developing. She had studied this same combination in the video files. She moved inside the pattern, under his attacks. His upper arms passed above her. His lower arms swept where she was not. And suddenly she was close to him, inside his reach, in a position where his size and power were less effective. Vorthax moved to back away. Lisa stepped forward. She punched at his crystalline chest. The blow connected, but it was not enough to damage him. She was not strong enough, but it was not meant to damage. It was meant to keep him from getting away, to keep him from resetting his position. Vorthax pushed her backward with his lower arms. He was powerful, and she flew several meters back, landing hard on her feet. Pain shot through her legs, but she absorbed it. She did not fall. She did not stop. She moved forward again, and the fight continued. Vorthax was still trying to end this quickly. He was still expecting Lisa to tire, to weaken, to make a mistake. But Lisa did not tire. Each time he hit her, she moved. Each time he knocked her down, she got up. Each time he pushed her back, she moved forward again. The general made a sound. It might have been frustration. It might have been anger. The immortal warrior who had never lost was beginning to understand that this human was not like his other opponents. This human was not trying to match his strength. This human was simply refusing to stop. Minutes passed. The arena was silent now. Even the crowd had stopped making noise. 4 billion beings across the galaxy were watching a human woman and an alien general, and no one could look away. Lisa was bleeding from several cuts on her face and arms. Her breathing was hard. Her muscles burned. But her eyes were still clear, and her movements were still sharp. Vorthax moved more slowly now. The casual confidence was gone from his movements. He was working now, genuinely fighting, trying to figure out how to defeat an opponent who would not be defeated. And somewhere in the arena, in the minds of beings watching across the galaxy, something had shifted. They were no longer watching a human being crushed by an undefeated warrior. They were watching something else. They were watching a test of will. They were watching to see who would break first. They were watching humanity stand. 20 minutes into the fight, Lisa made her move. Vorthax threw another combination attack. He had developed a rhythm now, falling back into patterns that had worked for 300 years. He was powerful, but he was predictable. Lisa had studied those patterns. She had watched them in the video files. She had learned to anticipate them. As Vorthax attacked, Lisa did something different. Instead of evading backward, she moved forward and to the right. She slipped under his left upper arm attack. She let his right arm pass over her shoulder. And as she moved, she drove her elbow backward, directly at the joint where his lower left arm connected to his body. Vorthax roared. It was the first real sound of pain he had made. His lower left arm collapsed. The hit had not broken it, but it had damaged the joint. The crystalline structure had fractured. Vorthax pulled back. He was moving differently now. His left lower arm was not responding correctly. He could still use it, but it was slower, weaker. The confidence in his movements was fading. The crowd erupted. Every being in the arena was shouting now. This was not the expected outcome. This human had not just survived longer than anyone thought possible. This human had actually hurt the undefeated general. Lisa felt something shift inside her. The pain was still there. The exhaustion was still there. But now she understood something that Vorthax was just beginning to learn. She could hurt him. He was not invincible. He was just a warrior, like any other warrior, with weaknesses that could be exploited. Vorthax attacked again, but his strategy changed. He was no longer playing. He was no longer testing the human. He was fighting for real now. He was fighting because his life might actually depend on it. Lisa met him in the center of the arena. She did not try to match his strength. She did not try to block his attacks. She did what she had trained to do. She moved. She flowed. She attacked the weak points in his defense. Vorthax's crystalline body had been designed over millions of years to withstand the weapons and attacks of his species. But it had not been designed for this kind of assault. It had not been designed to fight something that would not stand and fight like a normal warrior. It had not been designed to fight something that would move like a human moved. 5 minutes later, Lisa struck again. Vorthax had tried to grab her with his lower right arm. She saw the movement coming. She pivoted on her heel, twisted her body, and drove her heel directly into the spot where the arm connected to his body. Another crack. Another joint fractured. Vorthax's lower right arm became nearly useless. The general had only 2 fully functional arms now. A being who had used 4 arms for his entire existence suddenly had only 2. His balance shifted. His attacks became less coordinated. He was losing the advantage that his body design had given him. Vorthax roared again. It was not a sound of pain anymore. It was a sound of desperation. He was losing. After 300 years of unbroken victory, he was actually losing. He tried a different tactic. Instead of trying to hit Lisa, he rushed her. He was using his massive weight and power, trying to simply crush her under his body. It was the move of a warrior running out of options. Lisa saw him coming. She could have moved to the side, but instead she stepped forward. She moved inside his rush. As his body crashed into her, she wrapped her arms around one of his upper arms and fell backward, using his momentum to throw him over her body. For the first time, Vorthax's body hit the ground hard. The impact created a sound that echoed through the arena. A being that had stood undefeated for 300 years was lying on his back. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The entire galactic community held its breath. Vorthax pushed himself up. His movements were slower now. His body was damaged. His confidence was destroyed. But he still tried to fight. Lisa moved toward him. She was also damaged. Blood ran down her face. Her breathing was harsh and ragged. Every muscle in her body screamed with pain. But her eyes were still clear. Her movements were still sharp. Her will was still unbroken. She attacked again. Not with the goal of finishing him quickly, but with the goal of continuing to fight until he could not fight anymore. She had never tried to match his strength. She had never tried to beat him at his own game. She had simply refused to quit. She had simply adapted to everything he threw at her and kept moving forward. 30 minutes into the fight, Vorthax was barely moving. His left side was compromised. His right side was damaged. He was operating on will alone now, just like Lisa. Lisa saw her opening. Vorthax threw another attack, slower now, weaker. She evaded it easily. She moved inside his guard. She drove her fist directly at the center of his body, not trying to break through his crystalline structure, but aiming for one of the joints she had studied, one of the internal weak points. Her fist hit. Vorthax's body shuddered. Something inside him broke. Not his outer shell. Something deeper. Something vital. He fell to one knee. He tried to get back up, but his body would not respond. His muscles were locked. His nervous system was damaged. After 300 years, General Vorthax of the Kellian Empire could no longer fight. Lisa stood over him, breathing hard, barely standing herself. The arena was silent. Then the crowd erupted. Every species was screaming and roaring and making sounds of excitement and shock and disbelief. A human had defeated the undefeated general. A single human woman had stood against a warrior of 300 years and had won. Lisa looked down at Vorthax. The general was still alive. The damage was severe, but not fatal. She had beaten him, but she had not killed him. She had simply shown him that strength and experience could be defeated by something he did not understand. Then Lisa's legs gave out. She fell to her knees, then to her side. The pain and exhaustion finally overwhelmed her. Medical teams rushed into the arena. They treated her injuries. They helped her to her feet. They carried her out of the arena as the crowd continued to roar. Jake Morgan watched from the observation deck. He saw Lisa collapse. He saw the Kellian medical teams move toward Vorthax. And he understood what had just happened. Humanity had not just survived. Humanity had proven something to the entire galaxy. They had proven that humans could not be broken. They could be hurt. They could be damaged. But they would not stop. They would not give up. They would find a way. That was what made humans dangerous. Not their strength. Not their weapons. But their refusal to accept defeat. The galaxy would have to learn this. Lesson. And the lesson had been written in the blood and determination of one woman named Lisa Duncan. The broadcast of the ritual combat reached Earth in real time. Over 2 billion humans watched Lisa defeat Vorthax. They watched her fight when every expert said she could not win. They watched her refuse to fall when she should have been crushed. They watched their species become something different in the eyes of the galaxy. On the streets of every major city on Earth, celebrations erupted. People came out of their homes. They stood together, looked up at the sky, and screamed with voices that seemed to reach into space itself. Lisa Duncan had taken a challenge that seemed impossible. Lisa Duncan had stood against an enemy that was supposed to be unbeatable. And Lisa Duncan had one dot in the recovery ward of the medical facility on Station Meridian. Lisa lay in a treatment bed. Medical devices surrounded her. Her injuries were severe. 3 broken ribs. Multiple fractures in her arms and legs. Severe lacerations. Internal bleeding that had to be stopped. The doctor said it would take weeks for her to heal completely. but she was alive. More than that, she was awake. And she was thinking. Jake Morgan came to see her 2 days after the fight. Lisa was sitting up in the bed, looking out at the stars beyond the station. She turned when he entered. "I told you humans don't quit," she said. Her voice was weak, but it was steady. Morgan smiled. "You did more than that. You changed everything." He told her about the galactic response. It was bigger than anyone had expected. Species that had ignored humanity began to send diplomatic requests. Trade organizations that had rejected Earth's applications began to reconsider. Military alliances that had seemed impossible became possible. But more than that, something had shifted in how other species viewed humanity. The Kellian Empire had demanded the immediate removal of Vorthax from his position. The general was alive, but he was broken. He would never fight again. More importantly, the Kellians had to face the fact that their greatest warrior had been defeated. It was a wound to their pride, but it was also a sign that the galaxy was more complex than they had believed. But the most important change was in how humans saw themselves. Across the galaxy, in every city and settlement where humans lived, people started talking about what it meant to be human. It was not about being the strongest or the fastest. It was not about having the best weapons or the most advanced technology. It was about refusing to give up. It was about adaptability. It was about thinking differently when the normal way would not work. 3 days after the fight, the Galactic Council held a new session. General Vorthax was no longer present. Instead, a representative from the Kellian Empire asked to speak. "The Kellian Empire acknowledges the strength of the human species," the representative said. His tone was formal, but there was something different in his words. Something that sounded like respect. "We were wrong in our assessment. We asked that humanity be recognized as a full and equal member of the galactic community." The council voted. It was unanimous. Humanity was no longer on probation. Humanity was no longer seen as children playing with toys. Humanity was recognized as a species that had something to offer the galaxy. Not because they were the strongest, because they were the ones who would not break. But the most significant moment came when the council asked Jake Morgan to address them. Morgan stood in the center of the chamber, in the same place where Vorthax had stood to mock humanity. He looked at the 40 assembled species. He thought about his words carefully. "We do not ask to be feared because of our strength," Morgan said. "We do not ask to be respected because of our technology. We ask to be seen as a species that will face challenges, that will adapt, that will find solutions when the obvious path fails. We are human. We do not give up." The chamber erupted in sounds of agreement. Representatives from a dozen species approached Morgan after the speech. They wanted to establish treaties. They wanted to form alliances. They wanted to understand this new species that had proven itself so strange and so dangerous in ways no one had expected. 2 weeks later, Lisa was released from the medical facility. She could walk, though it hurt. She could move her arms, though her ribs were still healing. She was not fully recovered, but she was functional. Jake Morgan took her to see the view from the observation deck of the station. They looked out at the vast expanse of space and the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, billions of beings were talking about the human who had defeated the undefeated general. "What will you do now?" Morgan asked. Lisa thought about the question. She could go back to Earth. She could live a quiet life. She had done her duty. She had represented humanity and had won. She had proven something that the entire galaxy needed to see. But Lisa thought about something else. She thought about other humans who might need to understand what she had learned. She thought about young soldiers who might face threats they did not understand. She thought about a galaxy that had learned humans would not break, but that still needed to learn how to fight like humans fought. "I want to teach," Lisa said. I want to train human soldiers in how to fight like we fight. Not like other species fight. Like humans fight. We have advantages that other beings don't have. We can adapt. We can keep moving forward. We can refuse to be broken. I want to show the galaxy what that means." Morgan nodded. He had expected this answer. "I'll help you set it up. We'll find soldiers. We'll create a program. We'll call it the Duncan Protocol," Lisa said. "Any species that wants to fight like humans can come and learn. Any species that wants to understand how to adapt and overcome can come and study." Over the next months, the Duncan Protocol became something that shaped the entire galactic military structure. Soldiers from dozens of species came to Earth to train under Lisa's instruction. They learned to move in unpredictable ways. They learned to find the weaknesses in their opponents rather than trying to match their strengths. They learned to refuse to break, no matter how difficult the situation became. The galaxy changed. Not overnight, but gradually. Military conflicts that would have been decided by pure strength now required strategy and intelligence. Battles that would have been won by the side with better technology now could be won by the side with better tactics and better will. And all of this began because a single human woman refused to accept that she could not win against an impossible enemy. Lisa Duncan never returned to a quiet life. She spent her remaining years training, teaching, and showing the galaxy what humans could do. She became a legend, not because she was the strongest warrior, but because she proved that humans were something more than strength. She proved that humans could think differently. She proved that humans could adapt. She proved that humans would not break. When Lisa finally died, many decades later, thousands of species attended her funeral. They came to honor a warrior who had changed how the galaxy understood war and strength. They came to remember a human who had taught an entire galaxy that the measure of a warrior was not in their strength, but in their will to continue. Jake Morgan, now an old man himself, gave the final speech at her funeral. Lisa Duncan was not the strongest human who ever lived, Morgan said. She was not the fastest or the most skilled in traditional combat, but she was the bravest. She stood against the undefeated general of the Kellian Empire and refused to fall. She showed us that being human means refusing to accept limits. It means adapting when the normal way will not work. It means continuing to fight even when the fight seems impossible. He looked out at the thousands of beings assembled to honor her memory. Lisa Duncan proved that humans are not weak. Humans are something else entirely. Humans are unbreakable. The ceremony ended, and beings from across the galaxy stood in silence for a moment. They were thinking about the woman who had changed everything. They were thinking about the challenge she had accepted. They were thinking about the moment when a single human said she would face the undefeated warrior, and then did exactly that. And they all understood why that moment had mattered so much, because in that moment, the galaxy learned that humans were not cowards. Humans were something far more dangerous. Humans were warriors who would never quit.